Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 9th annual MindSprouts Showcase. We are so excited to be coming to you from our Theater 166 here at the Renaissance Theater. We are very excited to have several actors here with us this evening who will be reading our Reader's Theater style presentation of our finalist pieces. As many of you know, MindSprouts Showcase features the finalist work of those students in grades kindergarten through 12. And we have those divided up in grade categories, or grade bands, so to speak. So kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd through 5th, and this year 6th grade and up. And we had some wonderful entries. We typically start off our MindSprouts year with some Jumpstart workshops, which we do face-to-face in teachers' classrooms. And we were able to do a lot of that before we all sadly had to learn how to do school in a whole different way. And the nice part about that is we all learned a lot about technology, including a lot about technology from our students. So we were able to complete some more workshops online and stayed in contact with our teachers and administrators to make sure that this could actually happen this year. And we're very glad that it did. Speaking of actors, I'd like to introduce our actors. Gail Taylor's here with us this evening, as is Christopher Hartman, Kristen Kaufman, McKenna Stouffer, and Christian Shepard will be joining us a little bit later this evening. We will start with our kindergarten through 2nd grade band, and I think our actors are ready. So without further delay, we'd like to welcome you by starting with our first story.
The Mystery Murdery by Ethan Jurjevec, Reagan Elementary, Ashland. Once upon a time, in an old village, a man walked home from work. When it was morning, the man was on the ground, not breathing. There was a broken cane right next to him.
A man passing by saw him on the ground and called the police right away. The police came to help, and they called a detective right away. They wanted to find out who had hurt the man.
When the detective arrived, he looked around for clues. That's when he saw the cane lying beside the man, and noticed that it had a black and white mark on it. But it could not be his black and white cane. It must be Grandpa Moon.
And so, the police and detective went to Grandpa Moon's house. You see, Grandpa Moon wanted to rule the world.
Not this time, Grandpa Moon.
"Oh no, not again," said Grandpa Moon. "You pesky detectives!"
They caught him red-handed.
The police took Grandpa Moon away to jail. The man he had hurt was going to be all right.
The Missing Dinosaur Skeleton by Joy McCumber, Camden Krieger, Zachary Jones, and Colin Strine. One day, a bone was missing from the museum.
"Look, footprints. This is odd,"
Said the detective who came to investigate.
Then the footprints vanished.
"Wait, that's confusing."
So, the detective asked his friend Colin if he had seen anything.
No,
Said Colin. Then he saw it.
"Stop!
a ninja was trying to steal the very last dinosaur bone.
You're under arrest.
I give up.
I need more clues."
The detective Cam caught a ninja.
"Look, more footprints. And another clue, a zip line."
He followed the clues. They led him to the boss of the ninjas.
The detective had saved the museum.
The Stolen Book by Andy Sprague, Reagan Elementary, Ashland. One day, the library was closing early. After the library was closed, one of the librarians went back in and took a book.
The problem was that the librarian didn't check out the book. She took the book.
In the morning, the other librarians realized the book was missing, so they made an announcement asking for help. One boy said, "I'll figure it out."
He asked all kinds of important questions, like,
"What section?"
The other librarians tell the boy that the book was missing from the adult section.
So it was an adult. Do you think it could have been a mom?
The boy asked.
Could it have been another librarian?
Yes, another librarian did come into the library when we were closing yesterday, said one of the librarians talking to the boy.
"So we know who did it."
Another librarian responded.
And so, the boy and the other librarians went to find the person who took the book without checking it out. She said,
Sorry.
the case was solved. The Case of the Missing Zoo by Denver Crudy, Reagan Elementary, Ashland. One day, a boy named Denver had a case.
Oh, and if you didn't know, Denver's a detective. He has 2 trusty sidekicks.
Lucas,
And Tyler.
here is how the story started.
One day, Denver, Tyler, and Lucas went to a market.
They were getting noodles.
Hey, come here.
What?
A bomb.
Wait, don't press! Cover your nose!
Okay, oh, no!
Ugh.
Just then, they heard a loud voice.
Now you're trapped. I'm going to do something.
No, you can't!
Then, Tyler and Denver fell asleep.
I think I'll rob the zoo, but I'll need this.
While the unknown person was robbing the zoo, Denver was having a dream. He was famous for solving mysteries. Suddenly, he heard a voice. Wake up!
Sorry, let's solve a mystery.
Run free!
Hey, you can't do that, said the manager.
Oh, really?
Then she threw a sleep bomb. No one saw her. The manager didn't remember her because he fell asleep. Upon hearing that the animals had been set free from the zoo, Denver gathered some suspects. First was Addie.
Did you do it?
What? Said Addie.
Set all the animals at the zoo free.
No, said Addie. I like animals. Bye. Then Leah came in.
Did you let the animals out?
No, I would never do that. Bye.
Colin, did you rob the zoo?
I mean, I have robbed many places, but not the zoo.
Okay, you're free. Delaney, did you do it?
Rob the zoo? No. See you later.
Mac, did you do it?
While they were talking, Mac put a passcode on the door. Bye.
Guys, the room is locked.
There's a clue. It says what the passcode is.
Let's try it.
Yay, we got it.
Hey, the thief!
Where?
It was...
McKenna!
She went to jail.
The Mystery of the Mad Scientist by Lucas Fennell, Reagan Elementary. Chapter 1. It was a Saturday morning, and I was super excited. When I got up, I usually look out my window, and I don't see anything. But this time, I saw someone taking experimental tests on someone. I was flabbergasted. My heart stopped. I was looking at it with fear, wondering what I should do. Stay here, acting like nothing happened, or should I go help that kid? I called my friend. Hey, can you come over? When I showed him, he was in shock. Then he agreed with me that,
We have to rescue that kid.
so we got on our bikes. When we got to the house,
Look,
It was all torn up like a sheet of paper.
Chapter 2. It started raining.
as soon as we got to the house,
Pitter patter.
we got off our bikes and tried to go to the front door.
go on, open it.
It was locked.
Then, in the back,
We saw a shack, and
The door was open.
so we went in.
Creak.
Chapter 3. We walk in.
walk, walk, walk.
We see a sign. It says,
Definitely the way up. And we were suspicious.
but on the other hand,
Boom!
Ah!
we ran towards the screen. Well, I did. My friend ran away.
That must be the guy that was doing experiments on that kid.
When we took a look, the scream wasn't coming from the kid.
It was coming from the mad scientist.
Abracadabra by Lily Richlowski, Mansfield St. Peter's Elementary. One Friday night, Alexandria was cleaning up and getting ready for her magic show the next day. She pulled her white rabbit into her cold metal cage and yelled.
You did horrible tonight, you useless rabbit.
She also made sure the dancing cards were shoved tightly into their box and that the doves were in their old rusty bird cage. Then she left, saying,
Keep quiet in there.
once she was gone, the rabbit began chattering with the dove.
I hate it here.
Maybe we should disappear forever?
Added the dove. Together, they came up with a plan. On Saturday night, everyone was entering the theater and getting into their seats to see the famous Alexandria the Great. Backstage, Otis, her assistant, carefully placed the animals and cards into Alexandria's hat and said,
I'm sorry I have to put you in here, but if I don't, she'll yell at me too.
Alexandria stomped behind the wing and yelled at Otis.
Be quiet, fool. The show is starting. And if you are not silent, I'll use my magic to make a giant bird cage and put you in it.
She snatched her hat out of Otis's hands and walked onto the stage. The music began, and the crowd's cheers quieted down when they saw Alexandria the Great step onto the stage. They cheered when she picked a little girl from the crowd to help her with the card trick, and clapped when she pulled a bunch of rainbow scarves from her ear. Otis watched from the wings in amazement. It was time for her final trick. She said,
Watch as I pull dancing cards, flying doves, and a white rabbit out of my hat.
She raised her wand and said,
Abracadabra!
The crowd was on the edge of their seats, waiting in suspense. Alexandria slowly reached into her hat and pulled out nothing. For a moment, Alexandria was confused, but then she was outraged. She shook the hat and kicked it, but nothing would come out. The crowd started booing and began to leave. Alexandria stormed off stage, and when she got behind the curtain, she yelled at Otis.
You fool! You forgot to put everything in the hat.
I swear I put them in there. Look, the cages are empty.
Sure enough, Alexandria checked, and Otis was right.
Well, you must have done something wrong. You're as useless as that white rabbit.
Otis had had enough. As he watched Alexandria walk off into the distance, he grabbed her magic wand and cast a spell. Otis felt a gust of wind pass by him. When he looked into the distance, she was gone. All that was left was the black hat in the parking lot.
For Alexandria, everything went black. Then she opened her eyes to a clear blue sky and lovely green grass with beautiful flowers blooming.
Where am I? I was just in the parking lot. How did I end up here? And where is here?
Alexandria decided to look for someone who did know where here was. She saw a sign that read, "Lovely doves this way," and thought maybe another magician would be there capturing doves for her show. She followed the sign.
But all she saw were doves here, doves there. Doves, doves, doves!
Where are all the magicians?
Then Alexandria felt something land on her head. It was a dove, and something unexpected happened. The dove said,
There are no humans here, silly.
You can talk.
Said Alexandria in shock.
Of course I can talk. My name's Chatterbox, and everyone here can talk.
Where are we?
We are in the Magic Hat. This is the best place ever, far away from that awful magician Alexandria.
Awful magician? Awful magician? I am Alexandria, and this is my hat, and I want out of it now.
Out of the hat? No one wants out of the hat. Everybody wants in the hat. That's why my friend and the rabbit came up with this plan. And if you're the magician and you're in the hat, well, then there is no way out of this hat.
Huh, no way out. That can't be right.
Well, the cards have lots of numbers on them. They might know a way out because they're smart.
Then something startled them. Loud music. And when I say loud, I mean loud. Alexandria followed the loud music, and it led her to the sight of dancing cards. Some were in a kick line, some tap danced, and some freestyled. Then she bumped her head on a sign that read, "Card Cavern."
Doody-dum,
Sang the cards.
Excuse me, does anyone know a way out?
Screamed Alexandria. A card stopped dancing and came to Alexandria.
what?
The card screamed back.
I said, do you know a way out?
What?
The card screamed. Alexandria went to the beatbox and turned it off. "Aw," said all the cards.
Okay, now that you can hear me, do you know a way out?
No. Why would you want out?
Because this is my hat, and I can't do any magic shows.
No magic shows? Then we can stay in this hat forever.
Wait, I thought you liked being in the magic shows. You always dance.
Yes, we dance, but that's because you make us dance. You take us away from our friends and our music. How would you like it if someone plucked you out of your world?
That's exactly what happened.
Then you know what it's like. Are you happy?
No, I'm not, and I want to go home. Will you help me?
"No!" all the cards shouted together.
Will the rabbit help me?
You'll have to ask her yourself.
I'll find the rabbit and ask her.
She said as she walked into the distance. After about 20 minutes, she made it. She heard a noise. It sounded like a squeak. Then Alexandria saw the rabbit eating a carrot. Alexandria went to grab the rabbit, but it ran away. Alexandria chased it into a metal cage, and the door slammed shut.
Let me out, please.
Why should I? This is how you treat us.
But there's no food or water and nowhere to sleep.
Do you finally understand?
Alexandria looked around.
Are you trying to say this is how you live?
Yes, that is what I'm trying to say.
I'm sorry. Now can you let me out?
Sure, I know a way out. Follow me.
A few minutes later, they were back to the place where Alexandria was sucked into the hat.
Here we are. On the count of 3, say abracadabra.
1, 2, 3, abracadabra!
Alexandria yelled, then felt a hand grab her neck. She held on to the rabbit. The rabbit held on to the ground. The next thing Alexandria knew, she was in the theater.
Otis?
She saw her assistant in the bright light.
Alexandria?
Otis dropped Alexandria onto the stage. The crowd went wild. No one had seen a magician get pulled out of a hat before.
After the magic show, Alexandria put the rabbit, the dove, and the cards back in the hat. Alexandria promised to never take them out again.
Thank you, the magic utensils said together as they hopped into the hat.
And from that day forward, everyone came to see Otis the Amazing pull Alexandria the Great out of his hat.
Lost in Space by Alexander Simmering, Stingle Elementary. Swoosh! Alex and Carter ran down the hall.
I was having a sleepover with my friend, Carter. We played with my kitten, Snowy. Mom and Dad played too. But suddenly, everything started to move, probably about a centimeter.
Then, we all disappeared into total blackness. We noticed we were standing on something.
Saturn!
We walked and found a mysterious pink rock.
We took it and walked some more.
After that, we found a bucket full of the same rocks.
5 minutes later,
I saw a wizard to the right of us. He showed us the door. We all walked in and met.
Alien Oz on Mercury.
Why are you on Mercury when you should be on Mars?
1,000 years ago, we had a war amongst us. The Mars aliens versus the Uranus aliens. We lost that war, and they took over Mars.
The alien, Oz, took us to another door. One of many.
Why are there so many random doors?
The door led everyone back home.
We went to sleep and finally woke up at 8:30 the next morning. We figured it was all a dream.
We ate breakfast together and talked about how crazy it was that we had a dream like that.
We ended up playing Clue because of the dream. I told Carter all that the dream could hold. I liked it that much. It seemed so real that I think I could remember it forever, or even have it happen to me.
Then we pretended we were actually in the dream.
Everything in the house started to shake. Mom, Dad, and Snowy all saw it too.
Now it felt like a real mystery.
Meanwhile, Jill, my grandma, and Phil, my grandpa, checked the house to make sure everything was okay.
Back in space, the same thing happened, but it wasn't a dream.
103,508 miles away from space is my bedroom. My grandma and grandpa were in my bedroom, looking at my valuables. It was so strange. They kept touching all my things as though they'd never seen them before. They were so happy.
The shine of the sun in space hurts my eyes.
We'd had fun and spent the rest of our time together talking about my crazy dream and our crazy day.
Caught by Sydney Winter, Mansfield St. Peter's Elementary. Tiptoeing around.
Looking for clues.
Footprints, look!
Let's share the news.
Others may not know about you.
But we do.
You think you're sneaky?
Oh, you do!
Ring ring, police, come quick.
We found a robber who thinks he's slick.
Hands up, partner. The jig is done.
Oh man, I was just starting to have fun.
The Missing Museum by Levi Walter, Stingle Elementary. One day, Mark said,
Mom, can me and Jerry go to the museum?
Mom said,
Yes.
Let's go. I want to see that amazing ruby.
they ran to the room where the ruby was supposed to be, and it wasn't there.
Look, there's a sign right here that says it's gone.
They went to ask the guard if he knew what had happened, or to see if anyone had found any clues. But the guard said,
nope, we haven't found any clues at all.
Let's go back to where it was supposed to be.
They did, and soon Jerry said,
Look, this is a pretty good-sized footprint. Looks like it came from a big sneaker.
And there should have been security cameras on too. Unless someone had hacked into the security footage from the cameras.
We made a hut out of dead trees and sticks. We put the blanket on the ground and finally went to sleep.
It was dark, so Mark and Jerry went home to get some sleep. Before they knew it, it was morning.
We got up and ate some breakfast.
Let's go back to the museum.
when Jerry and Mark arrived at the museum, they heard all about another break-in. The guard told them,
This time, they got the first crystal found in the early 1900s.
Can we stay here tonight to see if we can catch the bad guys who stole the ruby and the crystal?
Sure,
You guys look as though you're old enough to handle yourselves.
Well, we are 15. I guess that's old enough.
Let's go home and get our cameras.
After they got their cameras, they went back to the museum.
Listen, do you hear that?
It sounds like it's coming from the boys' bathroom.
Meanwhile, the guard went to the rare rocks room. It was now 12:37 p.m.
Oh man, I'm so tired. I feel like I could fall asleep, but I won't.
The museum guard came out of the rare rocks room carrying a rock bag.
It was now 3 a.m. Two guards came into the museum. Mark recognized one of them because he was wearing the same suit as he had the night before. Mark pulled the guard aside.
Look, we've been here all night, and I think your other guard stole the crystal and the ruby.
The guard ran for it, but because Mark had already called the police, he was arrested. The next day, Mark and Jerry were in the newspaper.
And all of the stolen stuff was returned safely.
And they woke up to the sweet-smelling aroma of pancakes.
Hey Mark, want a glass of milk?
Yeah!
The Stolen Secret by Ava Farinacci, Stingle Elementary. One morning, in a town named Corersville,
A little town on a gigantic hill, where the sun always shone, the breeze was always amazing, and beautiful flowers fields were everywhere.
a 13-year-old girl named Ashana was walking down the street to go to the store so that she could buy groceries for her family.
Ashana was average height, and she had very long, sparkly silver hair. Her skin was a beautiful tan, and her eyes were two different colors. Her right iris was black and her left iris blue. Some people thought that she was absolutely gorgeous, while others thought she had some kind of disease.
Ashana had known this. Ever since she was a baby, Ashana had been forced to take very painful tests to find out why her hair was silver, her right iris black, and her left iris blue.
Yet, Ashana knew why. When she was 10 years old, Ashana was very nervous for a math test one day. Out of nowhere, people started talking about her hair.
That it was starting to glow.
Ashana's right eye started to throb. She got dizzy and started to cry.
Then, as soon as it had happened, everything stopped. Ashana looked around.
The teacher was in mid-clap, hands only inches apart, as if he was about to clap. The students were the same. They were in the middle of doing something, but were not moving.
As Ashana moved from place to place, she realized that the same thing was true throughout the whole school, the whole world, in fact.
Then it came to her. She had stopped time.
From that time on, Ashana practiced her power in her home and mastered it by doing so. No one knew about her power except her best friend Carter.
Carter had short black hair, oak tree bark colored eyes, and light pale skin.
Carter and Ashana were walking together now.
Carter, I think someone's following us.
He's getting closer. Walk faster.
He's right behind us.
Suddenly, the man grabbed Ashana's shoulders.
Carter, my power, it's...
Ashana!
Ashana felt her power drain from her soul. It was an excruciating pain.
Ashana!
Carter wanted to call the police, but the mysterious man was running down the darkest alleyway with his phone. Ashana was on the ground, struggling to get up. She finally managed to.
Ashana, are you all right?
Carter, we have to go after him.
They raced after the man, down the alleyway.
He's gone. It's as if he vanished into thin air.
Let's keep going.
They stopped in front of a massive stone building. As they walked inside, they saw 3 doors and a note that read, 1 safe, 2 not.
So, we pick 2 doors, one for each of us. Then, if both are bad, we go through the unopened door.
Okay.
Each picked a door and opened it.
Oh, this door is not good.
It led to a room full of scorpions, too many to count.
Look, Carter, my door may be the right door.
In the room was the man they had encountered earlier. They quickly lunged through the door and locked it. He was facing them with a lunatic's grin on his face.
The man started toward them. Ashana thought quickly, then tackled him to the ground. The man struggled, but was pinned.
Carter took his phone and held onto it. Ashana attempted to get her powers back. She grabbed onto the man's shoulders and prayed to the gods that it would work.
Then, almost immediately, she felt her power flood over her body like a tidal wave.
Carter and Ashana brought the man out of the building and out of the alleyway into the light.
Carter called the police, and they arrived almost immediately.
Since the police were handling the man, Ashana and Carter went on to get groceries as they had planned.
They said their goodbyes and went home.
How was your day, honey?
Ashana's mother asked sweetly.
It was interesting. Vandalism by Meredith Rizzo, Mansfield St. Peter's Elementary. One day in New York City, a young man named Mike was roaming the streets waiting for his girlfriend Julia. While he was walking around, he saw a homeless person. Her name was Sydney.
Hey, do you have any money?
Why should I waste my money on you?
And he just walked away because he saw Julia. They went to a restaurant.
The restaurant was crowded with lots of people and everyone was talking over each other.
You know, I really don't like it when places have lots of people in them. I like to have things be a little quieter.
Are you kidding? I love it when there's lots of people in a restaurant.
Julia knew Mike liked it that way because when it was loud, he could shout over all the people. She hated it when he did this because it felt like everyone always was staring at them. But she didn't even try to stop him because she knew he wouldn't listen.
Well, it happened again. Julia was done with his shenanigans, so they were done. Mike told Julia,
Fine, I'll find a better girlfriend.
After they broke up, Mike was surprised that he was crushed, but that didn't stop him from doing the stupidest.
he spray painted her garage.
Oh snap, that was vandalism.
The spray painted words were so big and bright you could not miss them if you tried. When Julia saw this, she was furious.
Mike was so happy. He had just committed a crime.
Julia's dad hired a police officer and a detective.
A day later, they found a clue. A detective named Maddie found a spray can Mike had left behind. Maddie ran it for fingerprints, but the person was smart enough to wear gloves, so they couldn't find any prints. Eventually, the detective did find out that it was likely the person who did it was a young man.
Now, Mike started to get a little scared. On Monday, he had gotten past the cops and he spray painted the backyard as he ran away. He managed to get away, but lost his hat, so he had to go back to get it.
Then he had an idea, so he got his hat and left a random one in Julia's backyard.
When the detective found the hat, the random one, she ran it for tests. The hat led her to a random, abandoned house. When she got there with the cops, they could see no one was living there, so it was a dead end. Maddie knew they had to go back and keep looking.
A week later, Mike went back to Julia's house one last time at night, and he vandalized the whole house.
Afterward, he felt bad for doing it.
But soon, the secret was out. Julia and Mike's best friend, Sam, were dating each other, all behind Mike's back.
He was furious. He rode his bike to Julia's house. Sam was there. Mike grabbed Sam by the shirt and threw him on the ground. They started fighting.
Julia broke them up.
Right then and there, the detective, Maddie, confronted Mike right to his face. She had taken a picture of the crime scene from before and saw that his bike in the picture was the same as the bike he had with him now. She knew it was him.
He told the truth. The cops took him to jail. He had a trial and had to do a year of service work.
There you go, folks. The detective cracked the case.
Later, after all that Mike had learned, he went back to the homeless person, Sydney, and gave her some money.
And Julia and Sam were happy together. The Spy Squad by Reese Miller, Stingel Elementary. Drip, drip. Teresa, Nikki, and Marlea were at school when they heard an evil laugh coming from outside.
They checked outside. It was Dr. Ruan at the park.
The girls didn't know what was about to happen to them, but they suddenly felt very strange things happening. They were turning into...
The Spy Squad.
Teresa was purple.
Nikki was blue.
And Marlea was pink.
They all had special powers.
Teresa could read minds and produce fire,
Nikki could create ice and use teleportation.
and Marlea could use shape-shifting and could produce water to use if she needed it.
They all used teleportation to get to the jungle and then went to the park, to school, and finally back to the park.
The big mystery was that no one was supposed to know that they were the Spy Squad.
Dr. Ruan planned to tell the world.
But the three girls stopped him.
The Spy Squad had many adventures, but one of their most interesting times together was the time that an ocean appeared out of nowhere.
A giant baby hammerhead shark,
Then the dad of the hammerhead shark,
The mom of the baby shark.
And then finally, a seal popped up out of nowhere. The sharks ate the seal, and then as quickly as it appeared, the ocean went away. The girls looked at each other and said, "What was that?"
they went to their schoolroom and sat down. Just as they sat, they were teleported to the park. There was Dr. Rowan.
"What are you doing here?" And what did you do? The girls asked.
Funny you should ask. I'm just getting ready to tell the whole world your little secret, Dr. Ruan replied.
No! Yelled the girls. We're the spy squad.
Teresa said, we can do this. Right, guys?
Right. We will use our powers to defeat you once and for all, said Marlia and Nikki.
Not so fast, Pinkie Pie. You're coming with me, Dr. Ruan said as they all began their battle.
They fought hard, and the girls used their powers well, but they didn't destroy the evil Dr. Ruan.
They ended up trapped in a bubble, but were able to break through using all of their powers combined.
Together, as the spy squad, the girls had so many adventures.
Especially since they could use teleportation.
Their power of teleportation took them to the rainforest, where there was a beautiful river and a magical land of milk and cookies.
And they had battles with Dr. Ruin in the park, but didn't defeat him right away. He told them that in order to fight him successfully, they had to use their minds.
Teresa, Marlia, and Nikki thought about what Dr. Ruan had said, but the answer to getting to where he had gone became the mystery.
Suddenly, 3 motorcycles appeared before them. Each of them was sparkly, and each was in their color. Even better, each had a matching hairdo helmet.
They put on their helmets, jumped onto their motorcycles, and raced off to find the evil doctor.
As they came upon him, preparing to release the 6 gems that would destroy the entire world.
But because of the girls' swift actions, he wasn't successful.
Of course, being the despicable person he was, he threatened to come back to defeat them, and he tried many things. But eventually he was caught in his own trap, one he had actually set, hoping to catch the spy squad.
The girls, because their goal was to help people, didn't leave him in his own trap, but helped him out.
The doctor thanked the girls and said,
But I'm still a bad guy.
And he ran off.
When they found Dr. Rowan, again, they asked him why they ran off after they had helped him. His reply was the same, that he was a bad guy.
The girls didn't understand, but were unhappy that they had helped him, because everyone should always help everyone else.
The spy squad's final battle with Dr. Ruin began with a trip to get ice cream.
as the girls ate their ice cream, he watched them from his crystal ball.
And, as he watched, he made a plan. This time he trapped them in a steel cage and not a bubble.
Of course, Nikki teleported out of the cage and helped the other girls escape. The girls talked to Dr. Ruan, again telling him that they knew he just wanted their powers.
And, of course, he told them that they were correct. That if they were without their powers, he would be the most powerful. And that he would be
Unstoppable!
So once again, the spy squad and the bad Dr. Ruin fought. As he screamed at them that no one could defeat him, one of the girls said,
Yes, we can. With teamwork, friendship, and hard work. You won't defeat us because you're just a dark, bad monster. You're never light and nice. You should learn how to do that.
Dr. Ruan stopped. He looked at the girls and said,
Guys, I'm so sorry. It's just that my family moved away and I'm the only one left in the city.
The girls felt bad for Dr. Ruan.
And he felt bad for himself.
the girls offered to let Dr. Ruin live with them, so that he'd have other people around him. He told the girls,
Thanks so much. I can't think of any other friends I'd rather live with than you.
And from that day on, they all went to school together and ate together.
And talked and learned together.
and at recess, they played together.
the girls even gave him some of their powers and made him part of the spy squad.
And they all lived happily ever after.
Untitled, by Eva Hadsell, Cameron Hanning, and Sophia Sandwall, Stingel Elementary. One day, 3 friends were on their walk. Their names were Sophia, Cameron, and Eva.
Sophia whispered excitedly, Look!
Cameron and Eva whirled around and followed Sophia's gaze to see a cute, fluffy bunny.
We should follow it.
And end up in Pinewood Forest?
Pinewood Forest was a forest in the girls' neighborhood that people had told stories of, and of the evil queen living there.
The chances are low of that happening.
When they walk into the forest, the trees seem to close around them.
Someone wake me up! I know this is a dream!
Shh!
Why?
Because there's a giant person over there.
I am no ordinary person. I am an evil queen.
Oh, right, sorry.
Do you guys want to help me, or do you want to be trapped here forever?
Well, this castle is pretty cool.
We want to help you. I don't want to stay here.
I agree.
Okay, fine. What do you want us to do?
Capture the magical unicorn queen's horn, of course.
What magical unicorn?
You'll see tomorrow when we start off. Here, follow me.
The girls follow the evil queen into a room of her castle. When she goes away, they whisper to each other.
We can't do that. I've read about the unicorn queen. She's really nice.
Well, we can use the skills that she teaches us about using the horn and then steal it back from the evil queen and return it to the unicorn.
Great idea, Cameron.
The next day, they followed the evil queen to a rainbow castle.
Today is the day that the unicorn goes and gets groceries. A perfect day to become ruler of the land.
The queen teaches the girls all they need to know, like how to walk perfectly quietly and sneak up behind the guards. Finally, they come to a magical horn.
The unicorn takes it off when she goes out in fear someone might take it from her.
Oh, that makes sense.
The queen grabbed the horn, and they snuck back out of the castle.
That training was kind of for nothing. She was the one who took the horn.
Well, it wasn't for nothing if we're going to take the horn back later.
Guys, let's get back to the castle first. Then we can talk out our plan.
Later, back at the castle,
So tonight, we're going to sneak back into her display place, thingy, and take the horn.
What if she catches us?
She won't. Not with all our training.
So I'm pretty sure she goes to sleep at 10. And we can sneak out at 10:30. Just be sure she's asleep.
How do you know that?
She's been spying.
How do you know that I didn't tell you?
I've seen you.
Whoopsies. Well, we wouldn't know when to go if it's okay.
I'm so confused. Can someone tell me the plan again?
Sure. How about you?
What do you mean?
How about you tell her the plan?
Okay. So at 10:30 tonight, we're going to steal back the unicorn horn from the display case and give it back to the unicorn queen.
After, we can go back home and hopefully our parents haven't called a search party.
Oh, I didn't think of that. We're missing to them.
Yeah, but we really aren't missing. We'll come back when we can.
and so they stole the horn back successfully and returned it, then snuck home and explained the story to their parents.
Moonlight Fairy by Julianna Williams, Mansfield St. Peter's Elementary. Gliding with the moon, we gently swoon, listening to your song till sunrise when you're gone.
I remain wonder-bound, listening to your glorious sound. In your strong disguise, I highly despise.
To us you deceive, as we all receive, a new life, refraining from strife.
You twinkle like a star as I gaze from afar, with your secret identity filled with serenity.
Your story untold, soon to unfold, not close to ordinary, but very extraordinary.
Lots of pizzazz, filled with razzmatazz, loving and kind, with glory that shines.
The sky is hazy, and I'm feeling kind of daisy, also kind of lazy. The Twins by ELISE LEHEW, STINGEL Elementary. Chapter 1. 2 beautiful baby girls were born at exactly 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. One of them had a head covered with dark strawberry red hair. The other had beautiful light brown hair that was the color of gold. They both had bright green eyes. Twins. Only the second pair of twins that had been born for more than 20 years.
The first twins born were known as a disgrace to the world because of their unnatural beauty. People thought they were not actually human. The twins proved to be very smart, and then something went wrong. People started to get sick. Some people died because of the illness.
People began to believe that the birth of the twins started the sickness, as though they were passing an illness on to others. One day, the twins' bodies were found, dead on the floor. No poison in their body, and no blood from a wound.
No set of twins had been born since the death of the first twins. People had started to forget, until that one Monday at 8 a.m. when these twins were born. Some people were raising these questions. Will they harm the world? Will they take revenge? What can this set of twins really do?
Are you actually considering keeping these? The nurse said. You could dispose of one of them and keep the other. No one would have to know there were 2 of them.
The two baby girls were asleep in a crib, all bundled up. They're babies. What could they possibly do?
That's exactly it. The stories people told about the first twins are true. They will kill the world.
Well, that doesn't change anything. We are keeping both babies. Even if people stare at us and shut their doors in our faces, we will not kill the babies.
The nurse looked at the babies and then at the parents.
Is that clear? The mother said with a straight face, her arms crossed. When Violet crossed her arms, that meant she wouldn't be changing her mind.
Violet was a very tall woman with deep ocean blue eyes. Her skin was wonderful, smooth olive color. Her hair was golden with a couple dark streaks, symbolizing that she used to have red hair. When she laughed, everyone in the room got a warm, tingly feeling inside.
You can't just kill babies because they're twins, Violet's husband James said.
Yes, you can. If it's a threat to the world, the nurse pointed a finger at the babies and said, they are a threat to the world. If you want to raise children that will grow up and destroy the world, then so be it.
Wailing came from the crib. Violet went over and picked up one of the babies. While Violet rocked the baby gently to sleep again, James continued to argue with the nurse.
It's a disgrace to kill a baby. You shouldn't kill a baby because you think they're a disgrace to the world. I think you are a disgrace to the world, he said as he pointed a finger at her face.
Violet stepped between them and looked at James' handsome face. James had beautiful green eyes, just like the baby's, and cheekbones that stuck out a little. His hair was the color of chocolate, and his skin was a rich tan.
We know we're not going to kill the babies, so stop worrying. If she keeps arguing with us, then we'll get a new nurse. Violet looked at him lovingly, then turned around to give her attention to the nurse. Stop arguing with us, or leave us to inform another nurse that we need help before we leave.
The nurse looked at both James and Violet, then at the sleeping baby in Violet's arms.
Your babies are very cute, but are you sure you...
We are sure, thank you, Violet said, cutting her off before she finished the sentence.
The nurse left the room speechless.
Well, I think she made the right decision, said James as he went to pick up the other sleeping baby.
Yes, I think she did, said Violet. And now we need to name them. I have always liked the name Cora.
That's a pretty name. But which one?
Our blonde daughter.
Yes, I like that. Now a name for our little redhead. Do you like the name Clara?
Yes. Now, what about middle names?
They finally decided on Clara Hope and Cora Grace. A new nurse entered the room, pale-faced and speechless. There was no doubt the other nurse had told her Violet had given birth to twins. The nurse made sure that the babies were in good health, then the family left the hospital.
As James pulled the car onto their driveway, Violet took a deep breath. James parked the car under one of the trees that shielded the house from being visible.
All right. What do you need to tell me? James said, turning off the car and giving his attention to Violet. I know that look on your face, and it means there's something on your mind.
Well, I suppose I should tell you some of my childhood.
You've told me all of it when we met. Remember, we promised that we would tell each other everything when we decided we were the ones for each other.
Well, yes, we did make that promise, but I didn't think that was a good time to tell you what I'm about to tell you now.
Violet turned, so she was giving her full attention to James.
I was 10 years old when this happened. I had sisters, 2 of them. They were the smartest and kindest people I knew. When I was a girl, I always said that I wanted to be like them when I grew up. They were really close. I was 3 years behind them, so they were 13.
Before you continue, what do you mean the 2 of them were 13?
My sisters were wonderful people, and we thought everyone loved them, but people started bad rumors about them. Then one day, they were found dead.
Violet stopped to wipe a tear away.
3 days later, my mother died from sadness. It was just me and my father. It got really hard because he was so sad he would stop eating. He died when I was 22 years old. Anyway, my dear sisters that died mysteriously. We still don't know how they died. My sisters were twins. 20 years ago, I had sisters.
The color in James's face drained.
You were the one with twin sisters?
I really am sorry that I never told you before. And now I've given birth to twins.
They should have twin aunts, but they don't because they're dead. How? Nobody knows how?
James' pale face and faraway eyes made it seem as though he'd seen a ghost.
Violet stepped out of the minivan and grabbed the baby carrier that held Cora and started walking towards their house. Violet stepped through the doorway leading into the mudroom. They arrived in the nursery after crossing through the kitchen. As Violet put Cora in the wooden crib and rocked the baby gently to sleep, James appeared in the doorway with Clara. He grabbed a blanket to cover the twins up, then left the room. It was now mid-afternoon, and Violet and James had finished lunch. They were sitting on the fireplace, ready for one of the babies to wake up. Violet pulled out a deck of cards and started playing solitaire. James watched Violet as she played her game.
I really am sorry that I never told you about my sisters. I probably should have told you so you know what you were getting yourself into.
I still would have married you. Let's get dinner ready.
James squeezed Violet's hand, and together they walked into the kitchen. It was now almost 7, and they always ate an early dinner. When the food was ready and they had eaten, they both went to bed grateful.
Later that night, a burst of light came from the nursery. Violet saw the light and woke up James. At the nursery door, they saw something that they never expected to see. Something Violet had hoped would never happen. The twins were floating in the air with a magical light around them.
Slowly, they circled around each other, then faster and faster, until you could only see a fast whirl. Violet closed the door.
Wait, what happened? Can we help them?
There's nothing we can do. The magic isn't harming them. It's the bond between them. A bond that can never be broken. The bond that keeps them together is the same bond that makes people believe they bring misery to the world. It's almost like a curse.
Violet went on to explain to her husband the hardship and pain her family had experienced because of her twin sister's bond. They were discriminated against, and people became savage and cruel.
She remembered how her mother came to her bedroom one day and said, "Whatever happens, know that I love you no matter what." But most of all, Violet remembered all the horrid expressions on people's faces when they walked to school or to church.
And then she remembered the day her mother sent her to get her sisters from their bedroom. Neither of them were breathing. Memories flashed over Violet's face. The horrid looks people would give them, the doctor's sad look when he announced they were dead, the chatter floating around her as she made her way to school alone. Violet couldn't take it when her mother died a few days later of a broken heart. Her father only survived 5 more years, and that was even more devastating to her. She went to live with her aunt.
As the memories raced through her mind, Violet was jolted back to reality and opened the nursery door and rushed in. The twins were moving in slower circles now, so it was easy for Violet to grab one of the babies. She reached for one of them, and as Violet cradled Clara in her arms, Cora started to fall. Violet's arm instinctively reached out to grab Cora, and Cora gracefully fell into Violet's other arm.
Violet kissed both of them, wondering what her mother would have said to her when she saw Violet with twins in her arms. When Violet thought of a wonderful life she would give her beautiful babies, Clara and Cora went back to sleep.
ELISE LEHEW's story moves forward to tell of Violet and James twins and how they grew. Both amazing things and average things surrounded the girls' childhoods. The twins grew to look more and more like each other, and they both eventually had beautiful gold-colored hair. They still had their father's beautiful sparkling green eyes. They were always together. Once, when the well-meaning parents tried to separate the girls for their own good, they found that their mysterious magic still brought them together. James and Violet would eventually come to know that their girls' special power was teleportation, so they'd always be able to get to each other. As the girls grew, their parents told them the story of the twin aunts they would never meet. As Violet spoke, she was honest and answered every question, no matter how difficult. The truth was powerful for the family. ELISE goes on to explain that the family eventually was faced with another problem, the terrible illness of others, and history repeating itself, beginning with the girl's 16th birthday party, and a friend who couldn't attend because of an imagined illness, which led to her being hospitalized. Cora and Clara asked the doctor to see their friend's test results. As the twins studied her diagnosis, they realized that none of the tests indicated that she was ill. As a matter of fact, it was quite the opposite. As Clara told her friend Harper that she wasn't really sick, Harper turned her head toward the doctor, and her eyes turned a bright blue. She disagreed with Clara, as did her mother. Since the twins were so smart, they studied Harper's case and found disturbing things. Things that could affect the world. Things people may not blame the twins for, but if they didn't do anything, then people would definitely not survive. Eventually, Harper's doctor came to the twins' home to speak with their parents. He spoke of the illness that was spreading and expressed his concern. As he spoke to them, he didn't look at their faces. Instead, he was looking around the house as though he was searching for something. Eventually, the doctor left, and the girls thought they saw him running away from the house. Later that night, when the parents fell asleep, they did some research and took some notes. While working in their library, they noticed a hidden safe on the wall. Once they figured out how to open the safe, they looked inside, realizing they had found their twin aunt's childhood diaries. The girls looked at the two diaries and then opened them to read them. As they read, they learned a lot about the sickness that plagued their mother's life 26 years before.
What are you looking for? Clara asked Cora.
Well, Mom said when our aunts were 13, there was a very bad sickness going around, and some people died from it. So I'm trying to find out if they wrote anything about the sickness.
What if something happened that was similar like today? Maybe the person's eyes turned blue like Harper's.
Clara, I think we're onto something. Listen to this. One of our best friend's eyes turned blue today. It was so scary. Then that night, I heard something outside the window, so we looked out the window. One of the other houses had a purple flash of light inside. Then it went out. The next day, the people living in the house claimed they were sick. It's so weird.
Wait, did you hear that?
Hear what?
Clara and Cora made her way toward the window. The girls had a good view of some of the houses around them. One of the houses at the bottom of their driveway flashed purple, then turned to its normal color. The girls gasped. That was exactly what their aunts had seen that night at their own house.
The next morning, when their mothers discovered her sister's diaries were missing from the safe, she explained that, back then, someone was making people sick with a poison. The girls explained what happened at the hospital. Violet explained that the same thing had happened to people that her sisters knew. She felt as though, when their eyes turned a bright blue, it was as though they had been
Hypnotized. Someone might be
Hypnotizing people to make them
believe they are sick.
but they're not.
Violet explained that there were twins before her sisters that people had forgotten about, and those twins had tried to defeat a guy who had magical powers, but they failed, including her own sisters.
The twins decided that it was up to them to find and defeat the mysterious man who hypnotized people into an imagined illness.
As time went on, more and more people were hypnotized. More and more people were thinking they were sick.
What if the guy hypnotizes one of us?
Why would he do that?
Clara, everything's going to be all right. We can do this, okay?
The twins knew that the magical man and the hypnotizing man were the same person. They knew the most challenging part would be to fight him, and they knew he could easily turn one of them against each other.
The twins needed to know what powers he had. As Cora researched Mr. Hypnotizer, she imagined what it would be like to live in another dimension and to be sucked into another world. As she refocused her attention on the computer, she realized she was flying in a purple tornado.
Suddenly, Cora was in a lab. There was a wide screen attached to the wall. Sitting in the chair in front of the screen was someone with a bald head and a white coat on. There was a falcon on his right arm, gazing at Cora. The falcon squawked. His owner noticed and turned his chair, and the man revealed his face. It was Mr. Hypnotizer.
Cora gasped. She ran under a table. She heard Mr. Hypnotizer searching for her. She had tried to imagine her room and her sister. Suddenly, Mr. Hypnotizer pulled up the tablecloth that she was under and reached for her. She screamed. Everything turned purple. She was back home and in the nick of time.
Where did you go?
I imagined what it would be like to teleport to another dimension and ended up in Mr. Hypnotizer's lab.
You teleported to his lab? Actually, that's great. Awesome, really. So you know where he is. What did you see?
Something that caught my eye was a screen. It had pictures of different people that he's hypnotized. And he can tell them what to say. He also had a falcon.
Did you see anything that might give us a clue to where he might be going?
No, I'm sorry.
Back in the lab, Mr. Hypnotizer was planning something very mean. He planned to hypnotize Cora and make her fight her twin. As he plotted, Mr. Hypnotizer laughed the kind of evil laugh that sends shivers down your spine.
We are never going to know who his next attack will be on. He could probably kill us. Are you sure that you want to try fighting him tonight?
I'm not sure.
The girls were sound asleep when Mr. Hypnotizer appeared in their room. He bent down to look at Cora's face. He mumbled a few words and put his hands to her temples. Cora's eyes opened and flashed bright blue.
I am now under your control, Master.
Clara opened her eyes and suddenly jolted awake. They were late for school. She grabbed some clothes and went downstairs to grab some pancakes. As she tried to run out the door, Violet told her that school had been canceled because of the sickness going around. Clara went to tell Cora.
Wake up, Cora. Mom made pancakes. They canceled school because of the sickness.
Speaking of people getting sick, I feel sick myself.
Cora's eyes turned bright blue.
If you want to fight me, then meet me at the town square tomorrow afternoon. Bring nobody but yourself.
Cora's hand reached for Clara's neck. She found it and started to squeeze. Clara's hands tried to pry Cora's hands loose. Clara's face started getting really red.
Help me, please.
Afterward, Clara talked to Violet in the library in private.
I'm pretty sure that Mr. Hypnotizer has control over her. He's speaking through her. I've been thinking that we'll have to kill Mr. Hypnotizer, but how are we going to kill him?
Violet started to roam the bookshelves. Then she pulled on a book. The stone fireplace started to move. When it was done, Clara saw a small door. Her mother bent down to walk through the door. The room wasn't very big, and everything was made out of stone. Inside a case was a sword.
Mom, what is that?
Her mother explained that it was a double-bladed sword. She told Clara that every twin has used it to try to defeat the hypnotizer and that each one failed. But it was the only sword that could possibly defeat the hypnotizer. Violet gave Clara the case and they left the room.
The day arrived when Clara was to fight with both her sister and the hypnotizer.
Clara left the house and went to the square. She put the case beside her and waited. Cora arrived a few moments later.
You will fight me first.
Clara pulled out the sword. Cora pulled out 2 knives. Clara's eyes widened. Cora must be hypnotized and following instructions from Mr. Hypnotizer. Clara struck at Cora's stomach, but she dodged and struck Clara's neck. Clara could feel the blood trickling down her neck. She touched the wound. Her fingers were covered in blood. Clara and Cora circled each other. Clara came over and put her sword to Cora's neck.
Cora, I don't want to have to do this. Try to remember who you really are and who we're fighting against. I need you right now, more than ever.
Clara felt tears start to run down her cheeks.
Oh, such a loving moment. I hope that Cora doesn't have to kill you first.
Clara turned around to find Mr. Hypnotizer. Clara turned to try to find Cora. Cora was not lying on the ground. Clara turned again to find Cora standing there. Cora punched Clara in the stomach and then in the jaw. Blood trickled down Clara's chin. Clara fell to her knees, losing her sword. Although she was hurt from where Cora had punched her, she got up and stood straight and tall. Mr. Hypnotizer smiled. The falcon on his arm flew a few feet above his arm and clapped his wings together. A burst of air flew towards Clara. Clara was pushed back with a sudden force and fell on her back. All the air in her lungs escaped, and she was gasping for air now. Clara crawled behind a rock, trying to catch her breath.
Suddenly, Cora appeared and put a hand over Clara's mouth. Clara calmed down, realizing that Cora was out of the spell.
Mr. Hypnotizer made his way toward Clara. The falcon turned his head just in time to see Cora coming at him with the sword. The falcon signaled to his owner. When Mr. Hypnotizer turned around, Cora was on the other side of him and tried to attack again.
Cora handed the sword to Clara. When Mr. Hypnotizer noticed that Clara had the sword, he stopped watching Cora. Mr. Hypnotizer aimed a knife at Clara when she wasn't looking. It went through her stomach. Mr. Hypnotizer forgot that Cora was still there and looked over the work he had done. He nodded and smiled.
Cora saw her sister lying there gasping for air. She saw the sword, grabbed it, and sliced through Mr. Hypnotizer's rib cage. His body froze. His eyes opened wide. He crumpled to the floor. He turned to ash along with his pet falcon.
Cora knelt beside her sister, pulling out the knife that was lodged in her stomach. She ripped a piece of her own shirt and put it on the wound. Cora's eyes overflowed with tears. Clara took a last breath and stopped breathing. Cora screamed.
She gripped Clara's hand and rocked back and forth. A yellow light covered both of the girls and lifted them up. They floated several feet off the ground. The light crept into the wound and slowly healed it.
And this is Elise's epilogue. Clara survived. She grew up, got married, and had twins. Cora grew up and became one of the smartest scientists the world knew. After working as a scientist for 7 years, she was married but never had any children. Clara's twins had healing powers and grew up in peace. Everyone loves the twins and all twin children. Clara was very thankful that her twins could grow up and not have to be in battle or live with anyone hating them. Clara and Cora had quite the adventure though, and they are very thankful for having had each other for that battle.
Believe by Alina Young, Ontario Middle School. Once upon a time, the stars settled into a faraway field, and a small cottage sat right in the middle.
A little girl named Marbella waited desperately for the one and only Tooth Fairy.
Oh, no, little one.
Said her grandfather, sitting in his rocking chair.
She won't come. She just ain't real.
Marbella sat there with her arms crossed as her grandfather teased her.
How do you know?
She snapped with strong emotion.
For all you know, she never visited you because she doesn't take those rotten teeth of yours.
The two, still fighting back and forth, heard sweet Grandma June calling from the kitchen for them to come and get a slice of hot and ready pie.
If y'all don't stop fighting about those teeth, y'all won't get no pie.
The two stepped into the kitchen and sat at the round table.
I have a story to tell you, so don't leave any time soon.
Grandma June sat the pie on the table, took her oven mitts off, and dug into the sweet cherry pie. As everyone finished up, Grandma June started talking.
Now y'all talking about the Tooth Fairy. Am I diggity dang on right?
Marbella nodded her head, putting a smile on her face, giggling.
Well, when I was your age, I was a believer just like you.
They all looked at each other as she continued.
I was always looking out and about for the Tooth Fairy. She was a tricky little one, though. I looked around, up and down, and I still didn't find anything.
So she isn't real?
Grandma June held up one finger.
Until one day, I found clues and clues and clues. I knew that I had found her. You just have to believe. It's all a mystery.
They say she still lurks about to find the Tooth Fairy. That's why the Tooth Fairy still hides.
The three little girls sat in the middle of a small cottage that sat in the middle of a faraway field. Well, just believe, and your wishes to meet the Tooth Fairy might come true.
The Kesher Family by Olivia Laux, Mansfield St. Peter's Elementary. One morning, the Kesher family woke up. They all ate breakfast together. Suddenly, they heard sirens and then a knock on the door.
Without saying hello, an officer rushed in and immediately put the father, Steve, in handcuffs.
The mother, Debbie, got out of her chair and started yelling at the officer.
That's my husband! What are you doing to him?
Then the officer said,
Your husband is under arrest for stealing secret documents.
The officer went out of the house, put the father into the back of his police car, and left. Debbie and one of her children ran outside, but it was too late. The little girl, whose name was Hannah, started to cry.
It's okay, Hannah. We're going to find out who framed your father and get him out.
Then Debbie and Hannah went to get dressed. They sat down and thought about where they should start. After their conversation, they established that, since Steve worked at a courthouse, they should start there to look for clues.
Once they arrived at the courthouse, they went to the front desk and asked if they could have a look around his office.
They were escorted to Steve's office and were let in.
Hannah, let's take a look around.
After a lot of searching, all they found was a list of co-workers.
Whoever did this had to have had something against Dad. So, I say we find out if any of his coworkers would do this, like to get a promotion or something.
I agree, Hannah.
They went to talk to all of Steve's co-workers. All they found out was that Steve didn't get along with the man across the hall from his office, so they went to talk to him.
When they got to the office across the hall, he wasn't there. So they did what any good detective would do. They searched his office.
Look, Hannah, this is exactly what we need.
Mom, the sticky note on this document says, copy and put into Steve's bag.
And these documents were in a folder that said secret. This is exactly the proof we need. Let's take this folder and everything inside it and go straight to the police.
When they got there, they rushed to the front desk. They were so excited to tell the police what they had found that they rattled off a bunch of words so quickly that no one could understand what they were trying to say.
The nice lady at the front desk said,
Slow down, I can't understand you.
Then Debbie apologized and explained everything. The police believed them.
and so Steve got to go home with his family. The police arrested the right person this time,
Steve was very happy to go home and eat dinner with his family.
and no one ever framed him or anyone in his family ever again. The Magical Wand by Amber Parker, Ontario Middle School. One day, Maddie, Hannah, and I were walking to the cove when I saw something glowing in a tree. I went to go check it out. It was a weird stick with words and drawings that we couldn't understand. Hey Maddie, climb up the tree and get that stick.
Okay, Amber, I got it down. Here, take it. I don't know why you care about a stick.
I put it in my backpack, then all three of us went to the cove.
Later that night, Amber was on her computer.
And in my closet, something was glowing,
She opened the closet door.
and there was a talking giraffe in there.
Amber screamed and passed out on the ground.
I woke up with a wand on my chest and a giraffe looking at me.
The giraffe said,
Hey lady, can I get a hot dog?
My face was frozen. I said, sure you can.
While Amber was running down the stairs, she grabbed her phone and called Maddie. She screamed into her phone.
Come to my house now.
She tried to speak but dropped the phone and got a hot dog for the giraffe.
The next thing I heard was a loud thump in my room. And when I opened the closet door, there was an elephant. I dropped the giraffe's hot dog, then heard a knock at my front door. It was Maddie. She let herself in.
Are you okay? What's going on?
Animals in my room.
The girls heard another loud thump, and Maddie and Amber ran into the room.
What the hey is this?
I tried to tell her that I think it's because of the wand, but a second later the animals disappeared. The wand was glowing brighter than ever, and then we heard thunder outside my window.
Maddie and Amber ran downstairs and outside, and the whole sky was a weird shade of red.
Maddie, do you want to stay the night, just to be sure we're both safe?
Oh, okay, that sounds good to me.
Amber and Maddie ran into the house and got chips, drinks, and more food to bring into Amber's room in case they got hungry. Maddie woke Amber up the next morning.
Amber, wake up, Amber, Amber!
I woke up and looked around. I looked outside, and it was all sunny. Had I been dreaming? I said to Maddie, let's go get some coffee at the cove.
So Maddie and Amber got on their bikes and rode to the cove. When they got there was news trucks everywhere and cameras and people asking so many questions.
I went up to the news people and asked, what's going on?
They said, we think there's a wild giraffe running around town. Dun, dun, dun.
Our award winners in the grade band representing kindergarten through second grade are Ethan Jurjevec from Reagan Elementary in Ashland for his piece, The Mystery Murdery, and he has received honorable mention for that story. Our next award winners are Joey McCumber, Camden Krieger, Zachary Jones, Colin Strine, and they are also from Reagan Elementary in Ashland. Their piece is called The Missing Dinosaur Skeleton and also receives an honorable mention. Andy Sprague from Reagan Elementary has received a third place award for the story The Stolen Book. Denver Crudy from Reagan Elementary in Ashland has a piece called The Case of the Missing Zoo and has received second place. Lucas Fennell from Reagan Elementary has a piece called The Mystery of the Mad Scientist, and that piece was tied for first place. And our final award winner in this grade band is Lily Richlovsky from St. Peter's Elementary for her story Abracadabra, and she is also placed first. And next in our grade band representing those children in the 3rd through the 5th grade, our award winners are as follows. Alexander Simmering from Stingel Elementary has received an honorable mention for Lost in Space. Sydney Winter from St. Peter's Elementary has also received an honorable mention for Caught. Another honorable mention goes to Levi Walter from Stingel Elementary for The Missing Museum. We have a tie for third place, and those students are Ava Farinacci from STINGEL Elementary for her piece, The Stolen Secret, and Meredith Rizzo from St. Peter's Elementary for her piece called Vandalism. We have a tie for second place between Reese Miller from STINGEL Elementary for The Spy Squad, and a trio of writers, Eva Hadsell, Cameron Hanning, Sophia Sandwall, all from STINGEL Elementary. Their piece is Untitled and also received second place. And now for our first place winners in that category. Julianna Williams from St. Peter's Elementary for her poem Moonlight Fairy, and ELISE LEHEW from STINGEL Elementary for her piece The Twins. Both of those students receive first place awards. Our final grade band represents those students between grades 6th through 12th. And they are as follows. Eilena Young from Ontario Middle School for Believe has received third place. Our second place award winner is Olivia Laux from St. Peter's Elementary for her story, The Kesher Family. And finally, Amber Parker from Ontario Middle School has received first place for The Magical Wand. Thank you again for joining us this evening for our 9th annual MindSprouts Creative Writing Showcase. Again, we're grateful to all of the teachers, administrators, parents, and students for their support of this program, and of course all the students for their submissions, and all those people who were able to take advantage of some Jumpstart workshops in your classroom. We hope to be back in your classrooms next year. I also want to give one more thanks to all of our actors, Gail Taylor, Kristen Kaufman, Christian Shepard, Christopher Hartman, and McKenna Stouffer, as well as all of the Renaissance staff for all their amazing help. And of course to Ryan Shreve for making this all possible with his videography skills. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.